Did you know that like a study from Pew Research Center, I think it was Pew, found that Jewish people make up less than 2.5% of the U.S. population,
Wow.
but hold a really high number of like Fortune 500 CEO positions? No,
Mhm.
obviously we're not here to generalize or anything. This
Right.
isn't about attributing success to one group or
Of
another.
course not.
But it is an interesting starting point for today's deep dive
It
anyway.
really is. It's like it speaks to how cultural values and even, faith and traditions really impact how we see things work, wealth, all of it.
Exactly. We're diving into entrepreneurial skills Christians can learn from the Jewish community and changing the Christian perspective on wealth. So, this deep dive,
Lots to unpack there.
it really is. And one of the things that's really interesting right off the bat is how this text kind of dives into this idea. It might be a surprise to some people that there's this misconception, especially in some Christian circles, that poverty is like more virtuous than wealth.
Yeah. It's easy to see how that gets misinterpreted, like being poor is somehow, I don't know,
Mhm.
holier. But the text actually uses scripture to challenge this. Haggai 2.8, the silver is mine and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts.
Okay, so for those of us who maybe need a little refresher, myself included, what does that verse tell us about how we should be viewing wealth?
So it's saying that wealth, it isn't inherently good or bad, but it is God's creation. And we are the caretakers. We're entrusted with stewardship over it.
Stewardship. We hear that word a lot. What does that actually look like when we're talking about, money, work, or talents?
It's $1 million question, right?
Yeah.
And it brings up this tension between staying humble, but also having these big ambitions.
Right.
Because if we're just caretakers, not the ultimate owners of anything, does that change how boldly we chase after success? That's a real balancing act. Recognizing what we
Yeah.
have comes from somewhere else and using it to do, to do our best. Speaking of, the text talks about these Jewish entrepreneurial secrets. And I got to say, that's a catchy phrase.
Wait, like, do we get a secret handshake now? What's the deal?
Well, not exactly a secret handshake. It's more like when you look at these secrets, they're really just principles for success. But these principles, it's really baked into Jewish culture and history.
Okay, so not like exclusive secrets, more like wisdom that's been passed down. Love it. Give me secret number one. Strong work ethic.
Right, the foundation.
Yeah, and it's easy to say work hard, but in Jewish culture, it's more than just words. It's like deeply ingrained.
It's part of their identity.
Exactly. We're talking diligence, discipline instilled from a young age.
And it goes even deeper than that. It's about seeing your work not just as a way to make a living, but as a form of tikkun olam.
Tikkun olam.
Yeah, this is a beautiful concept. Basically means repairing the world.
Oh, I like that.
So hard work becomes about contributing to something bigger than yourself.
So it's like their dedication to their craft, their business, it's almost like a form of worship.
In a way, yeah. And that actually leads us to the next point, community support.
Okay, yeah, the text mentions this idea of tzedakah, and I gotta admit, I thought it just meant charity.
It's so much more than that.
Right, it's like way bigger.
Way bigger. Tzedakah comes from a sense of mutual responsibility. It's about lifting each other up, especially in the business world.
I love that.
Imagine a young entrepreneur just starting out. They have this great idea, but maybe they don't have all the resources, the connections.
Right, they need that leg up.
Exactly. And in a lot of Jewish communities, you see established business owners stepping in, not just with financial help, but with mentorship, advice.
Really investing in that person's success.
Exactly. It's about fostering this culture of collective success.
It's that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. Okay, this next one might sound a bit familiar, lifelong learning.
Right, always be learning.
But there's a twist. The book, it really emphasizes this Jewish tradition of Talmud study.
Oh yeah, that's not just reading, it's a whole different thing.
It's deep analysis, debate, constantly trying to reach a deeper understanding.
It's about the journey, not just the destination.
And that's what creates this thirst for knowledge, right? And that need to keep growing is so important in today's world. Everything's changing so fast.
And don't forget, the Talmud itself is constantly being reinterpreted, debated, applied to modern situations.
It's a living thing.
Exactly. It's not just what you know. It's how you continue to learn and adapt. Okay, get ready for this next one because it's a big one. Financial stewardship.
Stewardship, okay.
The text talks about generational wealth, but not how you usually hear it. Not about hoarding. It's about legacy.
Building something that lasts, okay.
Yeah, and passing it down. And not just money, but values, impact.
I see. So it's more holistic.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because it contrasts so much with the whole life for the moment thing we see everywhere today.
Instant gratification.
Right. But this long-term perspective can really ground you. It's not just about what you gain, it's what you leave behind.
For the next generation, for the future.
Exactly. They're playing the long game.
Thinking generations ahead. Wow. And finally, we can't talk about entrepreneurship without talking about the rough patches.
Right. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
And this is where resilience comes in.
You got to be able to weather the storm.
And if any community knows about resilience, it's the Jewish community. Their history, it's all about overcoming adversity.
And not just surviving, but thriving.
That's a great point. It's not about ignoring the hard stuff. It's about facing it head on.
Learning from it and using it as fuel.
That grit, that determination, it's what helps them through the ups and downs, which, let's face it, are a part of any entrepreneurial journey.
It's the secret sauce.
So we've got these incredible entrepreneurial gems from Jewish tradition, strong work ethic, community, lifelong learning, financial stewardship, resilience.
It's a pretty powerful toolkit.
We're just getting started, though.
Yeah.
It's interesting, going through this text, I'm realizing we're really challenging some deep-seated beliefs here about wealth, success, that whole thing.
Yeah, it's like going beyond those easy assumptions, the scripts we've all kind of bought into without even realizing it.
Totally. And one of the biggest ones this book really digs into is this whole poverty as virtue idea.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Like being poor makes you more spiritual, closer to God.
Right.
It's been around forever, but this text, it really flips the script on that.
It's not about chasing riches, but about changing how we see wealth itself.
Okay, like that. So, how do we even begin to reframe this whole wealth thing? What does that look like practically?
Okay. Imagine you're given this valuable gift, not to hide away, but to actually use to grow. That's stewardship.
Okay.
It acknowledges that real wealth, whatever form it takes, it comes from God, and we're caretakers of those gifts.
I love that image of a gift. It changes everything, right? It's not this thing to be afraid of, rejected even.
Exactly.
It reminds me of that parable, the talents. The master gives his servants money, right? Each according to their abilities.
Oh, that's such a good connection here. It's directly talking about our responsibility when it comes to wealth,
Right.
Remember, those servants who invested what they were given, they multiplied it, they were praised. But the one who buried his, out of fear, not so much.
Yeah.
It completely dismantles this idea that having wealth is bad in itself.
It's not about how much you have, but what you do with it. Powerful stuff. So if we're not called to poverty, but to this stewardship,
Right.
how do we live that out? In our work, our money, even if we don't feel wealthy right now.
It's about looking at what you do have, your skills, your talents, even a little bit of money. They're all tools, to use for something bigger.
Not focusing on limits, but looking for those opportunities to make a difference with what we've got.
Yes. Aligning your actions with your values. Success isn't just about what you personally gain.
Okay, so we've got these powerful principles from the Jewish community, right? Work ethic, community, resilience, and now this whole concept of stewardship, this responsibility. But how do we put this into action, It's amazing, isn't it? Just exploring these different ways of thinking, these different cultural perspectives.
Yeah, it's like we stumbled on this treasure chest of wisdom, and we're just starting to figure out what we've got.
Right. We dove into this text looking for those entrepreneurial secrets from the Jewish community, and man, it's gone so much deeper than I expected.
We've got those 5 core principles,
Yeah.
strong work ethic,
Yeah.
but it's all about purpose.
Yeah.
And a community that really, truly has each other's backs. That constant learning never stops. This long-term view, thinking generations ahead with financial stewardship and resilience. Don't even get me started. Tested and proven over and over.
And the thing is, it's not just a list, right? It's how these principles all work together. They build this foundation for success. But it's about more than just, raking in the cash.
Exactly. It's like we're talking about building a life, meaning impact, leaving something lasting behind.
That's it. And that's something everyone wants, right? It doesn't matter what you do, entrepreneur, artist, teacher, these principles, they go beyond any job title.
That's what makes this so powerful. This isn't just some business seminar. It's a whole new lens to look at your work, your relationships, everything.
Okay, so instead of leaving you with all these big ideas swirling around, we want to make sure you've got something you can actually use,
Cause knowledge without action. It's like that seed that never gets planted, right?
Exactly. So think back to those 5 principles we talked about. What really stuck with you? What's one thing, just one, you could actually do differently this week?
Baby steps, you don't got to do it all at once.
Maybe it's bringing that tikkun olam to your work, knowing that what you do matters, that it makes the world a better place. Or maybe think about tzedakah. Is there someone in your circle, in your community, who needs help? Could you be that person to offer a hand?
What about that thirst for knowledge? Maybe this is your week to learn something new, just like that Talmud study tradition. Invest in yourself.
And hey, don't forget the long game. Financial stewardship, it's not just about today, it's about building something that lasts.
And listen, challenges. They're going to come, that's life. But resilience, that's what gets you through. You'll come out stronger, more prepared for the next one.
You know, this whole deep dive, it's been about shaking things up a bit, looking at things differently. And you know what? We found some incredible wisdom in the most unexpected place.
Keep asking those questions, be open to new ideas, stay curious.
Because the more we learn from each other, the more we grow. And the more we can achieve together.